Hello, travelers. Welcome back to ImpactVerse. Today, we're tackling a topic that's not only trending, but directly affects our beloved Genshin Impact. As many of you may have heard, the SAG-AFTRA union, which represents voice actors, is on strike. And yes, this affects Genshin Impact in some big ways. Now, some may wonder, why does this strike even matter for the game? It all comes down to one thing. Voice actors want to ensure their voices aren't used by artificial intelligence without their permission or payment. So let's break down what this strike is, why it's happening, and most importantly, how it impacts Genshin Impact and its players. To start, it's key to understand how Hoyoverse records English dialogue for Genshin Impact. Hoyoverse doesn't actually handle the recording process itself. Instead, they rely on third-party studios to record all the lines for the English-speaking cast. For Genshin, this studio is Formosa Ocean Post, a group dedicated to working with the actors behind the voices of our favorite characters. Formosa Ocean Post handles everything from major story cutscenes to those little voice lines we hear when exploring Teyvat. But here's where things get complicated. Formosa Ocean Post is linked to a company called Formosa Interactive LLC, which is one of the companies involved in the strike. Now, Formosa Ocean Post isn't directly part of the union, but because it's owned by Formosa Interactive LLC, a company that hasn't agreed to the union's demands, the strike applies to it as well. This means that the English voice actors in Genshin Impact are caught in the middle of a struggle over AI protections. The union, SAG-AFTRA, has told its actors not to work with any companies tied to Formosa Interactive. Essentially, if Formosa Interactive isn't willing to protect actors from having their voices copied by AI without consent, then the union's actors won't work with them. This is why we're seeing a slowdown in new voice lines for Genshin Impact, and even potential delays in updates that include English voiceovers. But there's one exception that Genshin Impact fans will appreciate. Paimon's voice actor, Karina Buecker, isn't impacted by the strike as much as the others. This is because Hoyoverse moved Karina to a different studio, Farina's studio, last year after Formosa faced issues with delayed payments to actors. Farina's studio, where Karina now works, has actually signed an agreement with the union to respect AI protections, so she's allowed to keep recording voice lines for Paimon, even during the strike. This means that at the very least, we won't be losing our beloved Paimon's voice in Teyvat. This setup gives us a unique look at how complex these agreements can be, and how moving just one voice actor to a different studio can keep their voice present in the game. Now, with all this going on, you might wonder if Hoyoverse could simply move all of their voice actors to another studio, like they did with Karina. Theoretically, they could cut ties with Formosa entirely, but that would be a massive change. Formosa has been handling the voices for Genshin Impact for years, so shifting to a different studio would be both time-consuming and expensive. Plus, Formosa is deeply integrated into the process, managing all the intricate details that bring the voices of Teyvat to life. While Hoyoverse could put pressure on Formosa to agree to the union's terms, the choice ultimately isn't in Hoyoverse's hands. They'd have to fully break their contract and start fresh with another studio, which could lead to even longer delays for English voice lines. Some players might wonder why this strike is important for us as fans of Genshin Impact. This isn't just about actors wanting better pay or benefits. At its core, this strike is about making sure voice actors retain control over their voices and how they're used. Imagine if AI technology advanced enough to replicate these actors' voices indefinitely, making it so that their voices could continue in games and media without ever needing the actor again. This would mean no compensation for actors who worked hard to create the voices of characters we love. The union's goal is to ensure that voice actors' rights are protected in this new AI era, so that their voices can't be used without their permission or without fair compensation. So what can we as Genshin Impact players do to show our support? For starters, staying vocal on social media really helps. Companies do pay attention to player feedback, especially if the fanbase expresses that they care about fair treatment for voice actors. Signing the petition on SAG-AFTRA's website is another option, but sharing information online and discussing it is even more powerful in spreading awareness. There's also an interesting option for players who want to make a statement. You could try switching to another language in the game for a while. Genshin Impact records language usage statistics, so a notable drop in English usage could indirectly push Hoyoverse to advocate for change on behalf of its players. One common question players have is about whether the strike impacts every aspect of Genshin Impact's voice acting. The answer is no. The strike only affects new work being recorded by union actors at companies like Formosa Interactive. This means existing lines and dialogues can stay in the game, but any new lines or updates requiring English voices might be delayed. It's also important to note that this strike only applies to companies that are part of the union's current video game contract. So Hoyoverse can still work with studios not impacted by this strike, like Farina Studio. For now, players may notice delays in English voice-over content, but remember that waiting a bit longer for these voices is a small price to pay to support an industry that brings us amazing characters like those in Genshin Impact. This delay protects the voices that make Teyvat feel so alive. It's easy to think that companies can replace actors, but in reality, these voice actors bring unique talents and personalities that are hard to replicate. To wrap up, the SAG-AFTRA strike is a significant moment in the voice acting industry, and it's impacting Genshin Impact because of how Hoyoverse's partnerships are structured. While we might see some disruptions in new English content for now, it's essential to remember the value of fair treatment and respect for the voice actors who bring our favorite characters to life. Supporting the strike and understanding why it's happening goes a long way in creating a better future for voice actors and for Genshin Impact as a whole. Thank you for tuning in, travelers. Remember that I'm doing a 5 Welcome Moon giveaway. All you need to do is watch the videos, leave a like, and comment your UID and server. As always, see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.